the highest of all beings, and the life centers around human effort and achievement. Number 4, atheism. There is no God. It's a Latin form of showing the negative of something. What is theism? Yeah, very good. Theism is the belief that there exists a omnipresent, omnipotent, omnibenevolent God that is both transcendent and immanent. That's theism. If you want to say the opposite of that, what do? Put a little A right in front of it. And you get atheism. An atheist is somebody that believes the opposite of what a theist believes. There is no God. All that is what there is. And when you die, you're dead. That's it. That's all there is. End of story. You are food for the worms. Number 5, agnosticism. If there is a God, he cannot be known with certainty. This is the person that's somewhat on the fence. They say, the jury's out. Maybe there is a God, but you know what? The only thing we can say with certainty is that if there is a God, you can't know him. You can never know him. You can't approach him. I'm certain to say that there may as well not be a God, because even if there is, he's too far away and not personal, not approachable. Number 6, materialism. There are natural materialistic forces or laws at work in the world which explain everything. I think this is probably more of a lifestyle than a worldview, but it definitely is a kind of worldview. All kinds of people just overcome with materialism. They might be more humanist than they would care to believe that I am my own God. But they're convinced that it's the world around them that is the most important. Pantheism, in that same line of thinking, says God is everything, and everything is God. 2 additional related ideas are known as panentheism, which teaches that while the world is in God, God is more than the world. So that's to say that you have got, here is the earth right here, and everything in the earth has a little piece of God in it. But God's all out here too. Pantheism was a fairly common held belief amongst what we say a lot of Indian tribes, a type of animism where they saw God in nature and things like that. We don't have animism on here, but it's a form of pantheism. They see God in everything. Panentheism says that God is not only in everything, like this table and this projector, but he is also everywhere else. Okay, polytheism. There are many different gods, some of whom are more significant than others. Greek mythology, the Roman pantheon. You guys have heard of Zeus, right? Everybody hears of Zeus. You've heard of Mercury and Jupiter and Venus. Very good. These are all gods within these belief systems. Many gods. There's tons of gods. Syncretism, the acceptance and combining of many different beliefs and practices and deities. It's a worldview that a lot of times will hijack Christian language in symbols, and it will change the meaning, and it will blend it with whatever the other religions are, whether it be animism or polytheism or pantheism or panentheism, to form a new type of religion. This is what you find in Haiti. This is a lot of what happened when Catholicism was introduced down in Haiti. They thought they had their own gods, their own little animistic gods, and then the Spanish explorers came in with pictures of Mary with these little statues and the saints, and they understood those to be the same representatives as their little animistic gods. So they simply adopted the names. They simply took the symbols and adopted them or syncretized them into their belief system. That's what syncretism is. Deism. Oh, what's deism sound like? Sounds like theism, but it's not. It's very different. Deism says God created everything. Okay, would we say God created everything? Yes. And allows it to exist in accordance with his natural laws. Do we say that? Yeah, for the most part, God allows his creation to exist, but he does not interfere with it and is not personally involved in it. We don't agree with that. Two related ideas are important to note here. Transcendence, the idea of God is above, greater than, beyond and outside of created order, and immanence, the idea that God is present in the world and personally involved in it. They would hold to transcendence, and they would reject immanence. God isn't personally involved. Here we go, page 36, theism. There is one personal God who is both transcendent and immanent, and who is the sovereign creator, ruler, and sustainer of the universe. Those who hold to theism do so from one of two viewpoints, naturalistic or biblical. These distinctions will be explained later. All right, we are going to focus in on biblical theism. All right. I have listed all those which we've just looked at up here on the board. And if we continue in our manual, I want to do just a brief review on page 38. What are called natural arguments or naturalistic arguments for God's existence by theists. Do you guys remember this? What? You have to explain it to me. She's wearing her socks. Yes, that is funny. It does not surprise me, though, as you notice. I'm not shocked by that. No. All right, do you guys remember this? Do you remember when we talked about the cosmological argument? We talked about the teleological argument, the anthropological argument, the moral argument, and the ontological argument. Now, Wayne's like, where was I when we talked about this? Well, Wayne, you actually weren't here. This was the day you missed. So don't feel like the cobwebs are keeping you from in here. That's not what it is. You weren't here. This is just going to be brief review. And I mentioned to you, do you remember me saying that they're in here? I couldn't find the page. I'm letting you know this is where it is now. All right, real briefly. Cosmological argument says because creation is, or because things are, God is. Do you remember that? Yeah, the basic premise was that any contingent thing, for example, this marker, is needed to be created by something else. It could not have created itself, right? So who created it? Well, it was the Chisel Company out of the USA. Who created the Chisel Company? Mr. Chisel, right? Who created Mr. Chisel? Well, Mama Chisel. Who created Mama Chisel? I mean, we can start going down the line, right? The second tenet to this argument says you can't have an infinite regression of causes. You can't just say forever something caused something. At some point, you have to have an uncaused first cause, which is who? Which is God. That's a cosmological argument. Teleological argument says because design is, God is. It says when we look at the world, we see that it's created, if you will, or it's constructed, if you will, with purpose, with design that could not have just happened. We said the idea of the watchmaker. Remember? You pick up a watch, you open it up, and you say, this could have just happened. A watchmaker, or a watch implies a watchmaker. So because design exists, God exists. The anthropological argument says man is the highest of all things. And yet when we look at mankind, we see suffering and killing and murder. So is man the highest? No, there can't be. There must be a being higher than man, so that is God. The moral argument says there is universally this sense of ethics.